Hi there, this is Olivia, continuing and also ending this playlist after having quite a buffer between this video and the previous one, which was really great because I came to realize two things. So one, I finally got to a point where most, like 95% of the people that come to me for mentorship sessions are not on that vibe of whatever it takes to get into CSM. I'm happy to see they don't have that same desperate expectations that I once had, and instead they genuinely want to complement the fashion education they already got or they're already getting. And unfortunately, that's the other thing about the work that I set out to do. It's not that I cannot teach total beginners. It's just that if I were to teach someone with absolutely zero fashion, arts, design, or any sort of craftsy sewing knowledge, it would take maybe like at least 2 hours per week over 3 to 6 months, and that on a private tutoring basis would be extremely expensive for most people. And the second thing that I realize, I can feel that I have finally reached a tipping point on my mental health recovery, and I'm happy to take down this video and also give a straight answer to people who come to me to ask about the graduate diploma course. In many cases, what happened is that these guys have actually applied to the MA, and they got one of the two auto replies. One auto replies that one, like, unfortunately the level of the applicants to this year is really high and you ain't got it yet. And the other is well, you're not quite at the level of the MA, but would you not be interested in this other course called graduate diploma, grad dip? So they get in touch with me to ask what's the difference between grad dip and MA and if it's worth it. So long story short, I did not do the MA. Come on, guys. Those are really poor research skills on your sides. But yeah, I made a bad decision just doing grad dip. It was the wrong move. It wasn't very smart that I did not apply to other MA courses, like in other schools or even other countries at the time when I was applying to grad dip. Career-wise, totally wrong move, and totally wrong move in terms of qualifications that would support my application for like a work visa to stay in the EU, or maybe like try to find a job in the US or wherever else I felt like could have better job opportunities than Brazil, which is like my home country. But I made those decisions at a time when I was feeling very hopeless, and my ability to make long-term plans was severely impaired. And I made those decisions without any support from my family, any emotional support, especially from my family, or a closer friend, or a counselor that I felt was competent and trustworthy, or even a career coach, like an ethical career coach. That was hard to talk about. But yeah, I'm gonna talk more about it in this video, and maybe it can help you assess what's the right decision for you. So graduate diploma is a course that is above like the BA level, but it's still not at the MA level. So it's like in this mid-range here. And maybe you've seen this kind of course in other schools where they'll condense a much wider curriculum and pack it into a 1-year intensive course for mature students. And mature students just means people not coming straight out of high school. And that gives you a clue of what type of people you will find in these courses. Usually people that already have some sort of background in fashion or design. It's people that even if they don't have a background in fashion already, they already have a BA and they don't want to start it all over again and get a BA in fashion. Or it could be that they can't afford to take more than a year off to study, and maybe because they already have a career going on and they're doing this course to improve their prospects on their already existing career. I said career too many times. So yeah, doing this kind of course would be an investment in order to get to that so-called next step. But the way that grad dip is positioned at Central St. Martin's, the next step would be the MA. So you won't get any career or professional supports upon graduation. And the course doesn't have great visibility or, like, let's say, exposure. So, for example, you won't have stylists coming to you asking for your garments to do photo shoots in like big magazines that could look good on your portfolio. I mean, unless you already have these connections yourself. Does that mean that it's a bad course? No, not at all. Grad dip, as I said, is above the BA level, and that also means that the level of the critiques that you get from David Koppel is like really high, and many times they'll feel really harsh. Remember, it's an intensive 1-year course in fashion. So the whole atmosphere that you'll be in is that there is no fucking time. There's no fucking time to be measuring words. There is no time for bullshit. And like David said on the very first day, on my classes, very first day, he is always right, which is quite problematic in terms of the power imbalance it creates, because he's already positioning himself all the way up here and he's gonna preach from his pedestal, and maybe you won't feel like you have the right to question his methods, questions whatever he says, or the way that he treats you or other students. And if you happen to be one of his favorites, then yeah, great, good for you. If not, you could feel like more and more cornered every time during the course. And yeah, guess which group I was in? Correct, the latter. I did not have a good relationship with David. And now that I have gotten proper counseling and good psychoeducation, I can finally see it and call it for what it is. It was disturbing how at one point he would berate me, and 5 minutes later it was like a shift, and he would go, "And how are you doing, darling?" This is textbook crazy making narcissistic behavior. And back then I did not have the emotional regulation skills to prevent this from deeply affecting me. And notice that I am calling it emotional regulation and not calling it coping. Coping can be, for example, alcohol, which was my coping mechanism for some points in my adult life. And coping can be new age beliefs, toxic positivity, which is my pet peeve, or it can be lots of meditation. And these are all things that I got into at that point. And really what happened is that these practices made me dissociate from the actual reality of how what I was going through was not normal stress. And so there's a whole other conversation that I will not get into because I'm not a mental health professional, and also my videos are not peer reviewed. So what I'll do instead is share the resources that have helped me and that were written by PhDs or other licensed professionals. My final recommendation, if you are considering further education in fashion because you're feeling stuck, or even worse, if you're feeling desperate, is to take your time and read a lot, research a lot, and really ask yourself like the big important life questions. And of course, these are open-ended questions. I feel like these are the sort of questions that can guide you towards a decision that will consider your own finances, your overall health, your own needs, and your realistic career goals. Now, to end this video on a positive note, so I always tell how absolutely clueless about portfolios I was, and I really had to go through Fashion Folio to learn those skills. And but yeah, Fashion Folio's next step for mature students like myself is grad dip, not the MA. But if you already got an offer for the graduate diploma course, you are miles ahead than I was back then. And maybe the only issue is that you're kind of like pigeonholing CSM as the only fashion school that will offer you good career prospects in the future, and you're not applying to other schools. But I naturally don't know a lot about these other courses that I did not attend, and I haven't been in fashion education for many years now, so I'm not the one with the most privileged information. But if you want to know more about grad dip, check out my blog posts and some of the work that I developed during the course. And if you have the opportunity to do grad dip and then the MA, and also if you have a good support system like family, friends, like emotional support, financial support, you already have like a good professional network or a good CV going on, by all means do it. It will take you to a next level. And Central St. Martin's is a great university. It looks fucking fantastic on your CV and on your LinkedIn, but it's not a results guaranteed investment because of how the fashion industry operates. There are many unspoken rules of this game, and you only learn once you are in it. By the way, this is necessary reading, and it is also extremely depressing. So yeah, and also there are way too many people wanting the same cool jobs. So yeah, try to educate yourself as best as you can about the industry, and find ways to take good care of yourself so you can make the best out of your time in fashion school. And if you're like me and what you really want is just to cut and make cute clothes, I'm now moving to making sewing vlogs where I make said cute clothes that I actually want to wear myself. And eventually I'll also talk about my experience in Bunga Fashion College, and that'll be soon. I think still this year. Yeah, because it's still fucking July. So stick around, and I'll see you in a different playlist because this one is over. So see you next time. Bye.